Here's the big webinar software guide and how to make sure you choose the right webinar software for your needs in 6 steps. To make sure we look out for the right things, to make sure it's a smooth experience hosting and it looks good for the audience. And we have all the automation we need around. So let's get into it. The first item to look out for is an easy webinar setup. So a good webinar platform should be easy to set up, and you should be able to have webinar templates that you can copy your favorite settings and configurations and just reuse them every time. In Univid, you can save both design and configurations in this template, meaning if you have colleagues that set the webinar up, they can also be according to the brand guidelines. And let's get into the second item, making sure that you don't have to do everything manually. For example, things like sending out reminders. Also making sure the guest speakers and other people in your organization have a good time joining and being able to contribute to the webinar. That you don't become a bottleneck being the only one in the organization that knows how things work, but essentially being able to distribute the webinar strategy across the organization. And that's typically a success factor we see amongst customers and webinar hosts. So make sure it's simple. It should be just like a magic link you can send to your guest speakers, and they can then join and be part of the webinar without being confused on how things work or how they share their screen, for example. The third one is that you should be able to boost attendee engagement. So essentially you want people to remember your webinar, you want them to have a good time, and also you want them to stay focused so they don't drop off and open a different tab. These are actually things that you can both track inside of a good webinar platform, where you can see how the attendance graph looks like and how the focus graph looks like. And this could also be driving next steps. So for example, through call to action buttons is a great way to not only follow up afterwards, where people maybe have forgotten about your webinar in the email inbox. When they are engaged, when you're talking about a certain issue, a solution or a topic, then you can mention the next step. For example, it could be download your ebook or a guide or book a meeting. Item number 4 is that your webinar software should smoothly integrate to your other tools in your, let's say, marketing tool stack or customer success tool stack. For example, your CRM system is the typical integration that we often see. For example, if you use HubSpot, Salesforce, Upsales or similar, you could, for example, have a registration page through your own system. Also having the attendee data flow back into your CRM system. So you would know on each contact, for example, who clicked this CTA button, maybe who asked a question in the chat. For example, in HubSpot, you can build workflows based on this data and use this as custom filters or triggers. So essentially, you could send the marketing email to everyone that pressed a call to action button in one of your latest 5 webinars. Fifth one is that you should be able to get engagement insights and statistics. This is something you should both get on attendee level, and ideally it should flow into your CRM system as well. For example, who clicked a button or asked a question. So on aggregated level, for example, the interaction rate, the focus graph that I talked previously about. Those are all things that a good webinar software should provide you, and that allows you to kind of benchmark your webinar against others. This takes us into the 6th and final step. Essentially, the content from a webinar is great for repurposing. It becomes kind of a content machinery that you can use for a lot of different purposes. For example, you could publish this on YouTube for video SEO. You should be able to also publish it inside of the webinar platform for the people that couldn't attend, so you have a direct link and you'll also get the statistics. You could also embed it on your own site, so if the webinar platform offers that, that's definitely a plus. And also you can pick out shorts based on the statistics you get, for example, to launch on social media, to give out some teasers and lead magnets for your upcoming webinars. And also a good webinar platform should offer you the possibility to simulate your webinars. So let's say you had a really good webinar that you want to rerun or short on time, you want an efficient strategy, then you could combine with simulated live and you could simply have the webinar you've already hosted. It should be automatically recorded for you, and then you could simply reuse that. You could upload it or activate the simulated mode in the platform, and then you could host the webinar again without having to bother with the video, and you could focus on the interaction with the attendee. And I have another video where I talk more about how to host simulated live webinars that you might want to check out here. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name is Jonathan. I'm co-founder of Univid, a top-rated webinar platform where you can create engaging webinars in 60 seconds. With that being said, feel free to check that out or my video on simulated live webinars. See you in the next one. Ciao!